So infusion number 2. I actually originally made an infusion, but I had music in the background, and I used YouTube instead of putting a song on iMovie, and then I couldn't turn the music down in the background, and you couldn't hear my voice, so I had to make a second infusion. So I'm going to try my best to remember what I said in the first one, but bear with me. So I first talked about the TED Talk that we watched during class. I thought that the TED Talk was pretty interesting. It was like, as I was listening to the TED Talk, I'd go in and out of believing her story. And although it was super, like, I could visualize what she was saying so well, and I was very intrigued. There'd be times when I, like, snap back into reality and be like, wait, is this actually, like, is this feasible? Like, can this actually happen in real life? And then I'd snap right back into, like, the story, and I'd, like, completely be involved with what she was saying. And then finally, when she, like, got to the point of her story, it all kind of clicked, and it was, like, super believable, and I really enjoyed that TED Talk. Next, I talked a little bit about the activity that we did at the end. I'm on the swim team here, obviously you already knew that, and I'm one of the captains, and we have to, like, come up with, like, team bonding activities, and we just had a day that was spent just working on team bonding, and we did, like, the human knot. We did some a scavenger hunt, like, obstacle course when you're, like, blindfolded and the other person had to, like, talk to you. And so I really like the activity we did at the end, and I feel like I want to incorporate that, and I want the team to try that, because, you know, it was just funny because you can notice right away, like, who were the extroverts and who were the introverts right off the bat. Like, for example, the person beside me didn't speak a single word, and me, like, I wouldn't shut up. I, like, kept talking, and, like, you could just immediately tell people that were, like, comfortable in big groups and big crowds and stuff. But I thought that was a very, like, learning experience, and I definitely want to do that with my team and find some tent poles to do that activity. And it was funny, like, right away when we started doing the activity, I immediately realized what was going to happen, and that the pole was going to just continue to go up. And it was just, like, so frustrating because, like, everyone wants to put in their input and everyone wants to, you know, come up with the solution, but you can't. You get nothing done. So talked about that a little bit. And then the last thing that I talked about was the presentation. I already mentioned in class that I thought one of the more prominent and important topics within the presentation was about inaction. And one thing that inaction reminded me about is the quote of the opposite of love is not hate but indifference, and how it's the worst possible thing you can really do is just to not care, you know, instead of make the wrong decisions or make the right decisions. And that really just stuck with me because I think people get scared to do things because they're afraid they're going to do it the wrong way, and so instead they just do nothing instead, and that's honestly more detrimental than doing something wrong. And so I thought that was a good part in the presentation. And then another part in the presentation that I enjoyed was the part when they talked about humiliation, and how if you're afraid to be humiliated, and if you're so, like, stuck up in the way that you think, that you aren't willing to, you know, make mistakes and be embarrassed and humiliate yourself, then there's no way you're going to be able to grow as a speaker and an entrepreneur. So that's infusion number 2, and I will see you in class.